Hey, we're in here. Beautiful Thursday morning, very hot here still in England, enjoying the weather, and I'm going to talk about Heifetz in this video. No prizes for guessing. Heifetz is my favourite violinist. I'm a big fan. Of course, there are other violinists who are better than him in certain areas. You might say that Paganini belongs to RICCI. Personally, I like Arthur Grumio's Bach. But overall, I would say Heifetz, for me, is the best. You had Paganini, then Heifetz, then what next? Who knows? But it's not the same world as it was in the old world, was it? Where travel happened by boat, and therefore you had isolated schools of violin playing. Today is very different. So, perhaps there will be another Heifetz eventually, one day. So it happens every 100 years or so. Anyway, I'll show you some of my Heifetz books. So, JASCHA Heifetz Through My Eyes by Sherry Kloss. Sherry Kloss was a Heifetz student. I think she's in the masterclass videos. Heifetz As I Knew Him by Egg Agus, another one of Heifetz's students who became his assistant. And the Axelrod book, which I don't think Heifetz himself super fond of this, but there's nevertheless some interesting bits and bobs in there. And then this is the book by Henry Roth. Talks about all the different violinists, and there's a glowing chapter in here on Heifetz. Yeah, I enjoyed reading that about all the different violinists there in that book. The one I wanted to talk to you today about is this one by Rob Cowan. It's the Guinness Classical 1000 recordings of all time. So what Rob Cowan does, and he's no fool, he used to do CD masters on Radio 3 and knows his stuff. And it's one of those guys who spends endless hours comparing different versions of the same piece played by different people, and then gives his verdict on what is the definitive performance or recording, definitive piece. And on a lot of things I agree with him, actually. And look, I've just noted all the pages where Heifetz owns the piece, so to speak, owns the performance. So, page 10, Bach's Violin Concerto number 1 in A minor. Interesting, eh? That piece belongs to Heifetz. Page 17, a Mozart piece, the Turkish, number 5. JASCHA Heifetz, the RCA analogue. What else? I mark all the places. The Introduction on Le Capriccioso by Camille Saint-Saëns. I would have to agree, yes. He's got the RCA Victor, but Heifetz has done some later versions, equally as good. Yeah, I would say, yeah, the 51 version, but both good. I think so. That here, the Wieniawski Concerto undoubtedly belongs to Heifetz. I totally agree to that. And the rhythm, it's just perfect. Now, the Max Book Scottish Fantasy, spoke about that in another video, not the earlier one or the later one that he performed in France, but the Malcolm Sargent one in London in the early 60s. I believe this is the one where all the top players of Europe rushed to be in the orchestra, and Heifetz transcended. And I heard somewhere that after he finished the recording, he actually cried, which that wouldn't have been something that Heifetz would have done too often, and he didn't brag about his own playing. So yeah, he something special happened in that. Now, where I disagree slightly with Rob Cowan here is the Concerto No. 1 by Max Bruch. He's saying that belongs to Isaac Stern, although he's got Heifetz listed here, hasn't he? Where is he? Alfredo Campelli's there, nice one. My teacher's teacher, but I would say on this piece, just the rhythm, how Heifetz owns the rhythm, would say that belongs to him. It's okay, don't have to agree with him on everything. Glazunov, yes. I remember if there was an overlap in the St. Petersburg Conservatoire with Glazunov, whether Heifetz bumped into him there maybe when he was in the Leopold Auer class. But yeah, Russian violinist, absolutely. The Barbaroli one. He played that at his bar mitzvah. I don't know. The trouble with the earlier recordings, yes, you have to listen to them impartially because they don't sound as good. But yeah, you can extract the quality of playing them. He's saying the earlier version is better, but the '62 remake is equally up there. Sibelius, yeah. Have a picture of Heifetz walking with John Sibelius in Finland in the snow in my mind. I think it was Heifetz who basically revived this concerto. Walter Handel, but yeah, his second recording, I think, is the one. 59 recording, yeah. That piece makes the hairs stand up on my arms when I listen to that. What else? Korngold. You tend to agree. Oh, there's one I've nearly missed here. Prokofiev. I mean, anything Russian, the guy has got a head start, hasn't he? The Walton Concerto, wasn't that the one that was actually composed for Heifetz? Composed? Yeah, commissioned. So, yeah, he had a head start with that. Yeah, it's good to see Perlman in there. Okay, well, symphonies, we wouldn't expect too much there, or orchestral reps. Sadly, I don't think this book has the space for like vignettes. Like, let's say if they did who did the best rendition of Rachmaninoff's Daisies, that'd 110% be Heifetz, and no one can get the coloration that he's got. It's just virtually impossible to produce. But anyway, that's not in this book, but chamber works. Heifetz loved doing chamber music, didn't he? And we've got the Sonata No. 32 by Mozart. Brooksmith on piano. The Spring Sonata, yeah, that was surprising with Emanuel by. Spring Sonata by Beethoven. What else have we got? The Debussy Violin Sonata with Emanuel by. Mozart Divertimento, William Primrose and Feynman. Wow, what a trio, eh? So Feynman eventually, that was he passed away, didn't he? And it became Piatigorsky took his place. Okay. What else we got? The Dvorak piano trio. There we have Piatigorsky. Pinario. Tchaikovsky. I've somehow managed to miss the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. I'll go back to that in a minute. Ravel Piano Trio, that's the $1 Million Trio with Rubinstein. Sparks flew, I think, between Rubinstein and Heifetz. What else have we got in here? Chamber music, there's so much of it here. So we come to the Brahms Piano Quartet, sorry. There's good old Piatigorsky again. And the Brahms String Sextet here. Heifetz owns that. A shame that he didn't perform with Vladimir Horowitz. Horowitz is in throughout this book, by the way. Now, the Bach Sonata Number 3. I would tend to agree. Is that the one that's on his final performance album as well? I'd have to double check. Yeah. Such a very clean playing, and if you like vibrato in Baroque, like I do, the argument is that the Baroque composers wouldn't have objected, because vibrato wasn't as developed in them days. If you like, there's Horowitz, vibrato in Baroque, then you'll have no problem with that one belonging to Heifetz. I don't think he can stop his vibrato, it's instinctual. Instrumental solos. What have we got here? I think we're nearing the end. We're nearing the end now. Let me check. Songs we've gone. So let's go back and just find the Tchaikovsky, because that's very important. Here we are. Tchaikovsky. Yeah, one concerto. A far lighter, less monumental piece than any of the piano concertos, lyrical in style and imbued with a feeling of folk music, especially in the finale, with its polonaise style. Second idea, Tchaikovsky composed his violin concerto in the wake of an emotionally crippling angst. He had recently emerged from one of the most difficult periods of his life, which included disastrous marriage, because he was gay, I guess, originally deemed unplayable by Heifetz's teacher. Subsequently parodied by Brodsky, it's since become a repertory mastery, and it's the Fritz Reiner version on RCA analog, 1950s. Yeah, the 57, and it's the cadenzas that are interesting, isn't it, in that? Okay, Wieniawski second, Brooks second. So that's it, definitive Heifetz recordings. Just one of those players you can't stop listening to with mesmerising sound, but what Rob Cowans does, which is what we should all do, is compares different versions. I don't think the book mentioned Louis Spohr, number 8, that also belongs to Heifetz in my view. So, interesting book.